Hey Jelly Gang fam, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I have decided to do a little story time because I have plenty of good ones. For those who are new here, I've decided to choose this one because I feel like it's definitely gonna help you guys get to know me a little bit more, I think. As you might have guessed from the title, I'm going to be talking about how I became a full-time Twitch streamer. So let's get straight into it. So we start this story back in the year of 2019. I had finally figured out what I wanted to do. This was always a bit of a struggle for me as I'd tried a lot of different career paths, but I was never really fully set on what I wanted to do. But after a lot of research, I realized I wanted to be cabin crew. At the beginning of 2019, I managed to land myself a job as a little hostie, and I loved that job so much. I was able to dress up, meet new people, travel the world, and get paid for it. It was Unfortunately, the job was only a summer job and we would start in the March and finish in the October, but that was fine because I'd just get a little job in the winter and then I would be back the next year. Or so I thought. Then a little thing called COVID happened and destroyed all of my hopes and dreams. This completely turned my life upside down, as I'm sure it did with a lot of people. And unfortunately, I got a very traumatic phone call where a lady basically told me I didn't have a job anymore. And I was devastated. I managed to get a job at a food retail store and I'm still so grateful to them because I know it was super difficult at the time for anyone to get a job. So throughout COVID months, although I was really grateful to have a job, I really missed flying and I found myself having a lot of free time because the retail job was only part-time hours. And around this time, a little game called Animal Crossing New Horizons had just come out on the Nintendo Switch. And I'd been a gamer since I was quite young. I'd played RuneScape and a lot of different MMOs on a really musty laptop that barely ran. And when it did, it sounded like a spaceship taking off. But it got me through those days and I loved it. And I also had a Nintendo DS and a Game Boy. On the DS, I remember I played Animal Crossing New Leaf, I think it was. I really enjoyed that game. It was like my favorite at the time. And I just thought, why not get back into it? You know, I don't really have anything else to do with my time. And from there, I was hooked. I was up until 3 a.m. every single night, making sure that I was working well towards getting a 5-star island so Tom Nook, the crook that he is, could get off my back. But eventually, I did get a little bit bored. I found that the game was quite repetitive, and once I reached that 5-star island, there wasn't really much else for me to do. So my boyfriend decided he would let me play on his PC. Of course, I picked Sims as my first game to buy. So I started playing Sims on his PC, and he would come into the room all the time and be like, "Who are you talking to?" I was like, "No one, why?" He's like, "I can hear you talking to somebody." Oh, yeah, no, I like to narrate my games as I play them. It's just a thing I do. Just ignore me. Then he suggested the very thing that would change history as we know it. He was like, "Why don't you start streaming?" I was like, "Huh?" He said streaming, it's kind of like YouTube, but it's all live and, you know, you talk to people and stuff. I mean, since you're talking to yourself all the time, you might as well have an audience. And then he told me about how he was thinking of upgrading his PC anyways, so it would be ideal because I could take his old PC and he would have a new one. So at this point, it was around about November of 2020 and I'd set up my Twitch account. I had no idea what it was. I'd never been in a Twitch stream before in my whole entire life, but if there was one thing that I did know, it was what my name was gonna be. See, I'd grown up watching YouTubers like PewDiePie, Markiplier, and I'd always had like a sneaky feeling. I was like, maybe I'm gonna go into YouTube one day, but I don't know, meh. Maybe I should just make a name just to be prepared, just in case. Let's have a play around with our real life names and let's see what we can make. And thus, Jellyotti was born. So my channel definitely started from the very bottom. Like I say, I'd never seen a Twitch stream before. I didn't even know what Twitch was. I didn't know what an emote was. I had no idea how I was even going to stream, but eventually I figured it out and I went live and it was tragic. My first stream was, of course, a Sims 4 stream. Pretty sure I managed to spend the whole hour and a half just waffling about my gothic vampire family and all the juicy details about their lives. And I don't think I actually played the game. And I think I accidentally ended up ending the stream about 4 times. And in between the times that I was actually live, half of that time I was muted, but we got through it. From that stream, I was in love. And whenever I wasn't working my part-time retail job, I was streaming. With every paycheck I got, I managed to save aside some money to upgrade the stream. I got a microphone, camera, and I basically just worked my way up from there. And for a long time, I didn't actually have a green screen and I didn't have a nice background. So what I decided to do is DIY it using a washing rack and a nasty pink blanket just hung along. And that was my gamer girl background. So my channel started off slow with only a few friends watching, and I was always into indie horror games just because of the YouTubers and their content that I used to watch when I was younger. I've never really been into FPS or anything like that. So I was playing a lot of games that people had already seen a lot before, but I was enjoying it. And honestly, that was one of the best times of streaming, where I was just playing random scary games and it was just so fun. But then I made the mistake that a lot of streamers make, and I thought, if I play Warzone, I'll get a lot of viewers because that's a popular game that everyone likes. Yeah, newsflash, that doesn't work, especially if it's a game you're not enjoying. It was quite clearly written all over my face that I absolutely hated it, and so I went back to square one and carried on with horror games, which is what I truly loved. And I was scrolling on Steam one day through the horror category, and there was this game called Dead by Daylight. I was like, ooh, a new horror game. This will be so scary. Yeah, it wasn't exactly the type of horror game that I was expecting it to be, but I was, no pun intended, hooked. That was really bad. I'll see myself out. I started playing this game every single night. At this point, it was around about the December time, and I ended up carrying it on through the new year. I was also trying to keep in a nice schedule. I was working part-time random shift hours, but I always managed to stream maybe like 4 days a week. January of 2021, I decided to take my streams up a level, and I decided to get back into cosplay. I dabbled in a little bit of cosplay back in my college days, but nothing crazy. And with me playing Dead by Daylight, there's a lot of characters in that game, so there was a lot of good cosplay opportunities. And at this point, I'd created such a nice, safe community where I could just explore, and if it ended up looking like poop, it would be fine because we could just laugh about it. Then at this point, it was around about January, February time, and I realized my channel was growing. I was getting into the 40s and 50s average. So I set up a Discord, and I also started working really hard on my social media and just tried my best to get recognized as a Dead by Daylight streamer. Then by April, I was starting to hit partner numbers, and I was like, oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. Starting from that nasty pink blanket to here, I just realized that I could actually make this a career. But then I got an email. It was from my former airline explaining to me, great news, you got your job back. And I was like, ah. All of a sudden, my air hostess group chat was popping off. Everyone was drinking Prosecco. Everyone was so excited, and I was there crying. Everything had just started getting so exciting with Twitch. But now I had my amazing flying job asking me to come back. So just to recap, at this point, it was April. I was told that in May, I would be doing my retraining for cabin crew. So I thought, I'm earning enough to be stable. I'm gonna quit my retail job and I'm gonna go to full-time streaming for a little bit and see how it goes. And it doesn't really matter if it doesn't work out because I'll be back on the payroll by May, so what's there to lose? Then I got my first experience of full-time streaming, and although it was great, it was kind of bittersweet because I knew that it wasn't gonna be forever. I was like, I wanna enjoy it while I can, but at the same time, I don't really know how long this is gonna last. It then got to May time and I did my retraining. That was pretty tragic. Honestly, it was so stressful. Everyone was really excited. Everyone was studying hard. And I was just a mess inside because I couldn't tell anyone that I was having this debate in my head because I didn't want my company to know that I was thinking about leaving because I'd just been offered my job back. So I was just internally screaming. Once I'd passed my retraining, I then went back to streaming, and eventually I hit 75 average viewers, which meant I could apply for partner. It was really exciting applying for partner, but I was told that it was very, very common for people to get rejected first time. Not a lot of people would get partnered immediately. It would take a couple of goes. So I didn't get my hopes up, but I was just honestly excited to get feedback if I didn't get it, just so I could see what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong. And I know this part is different for everyone, but for me personally, it took 9 days for me to hear back if I got partner or not. And on day number 7, I got yet another email, but it wasn't from Twitch. It was from my airline yet again saying, "Great news, you're ready to fly. You're going next week." So at this point, I was quite literally losing it, because a few people might be wondering, oh, well, why couldn't you do both? Why couldn't you fly and stream? Well, technically I could, but it would mean that my schedule would become very unreliable. I wouldn't be able to stick to a routine. It wouldn't be fair to expect my audience to show up when I'm not reliable myself. So then 2 days later, day 9, I had planned a 12-hour stream. I was about to do my most intricate cosplay yet. It was Spirit from Dead by Daylight. I will leave a picture here. And it was about an hour into my stream. I was fully blue. I hadn't got my makeup on, but everything was blue. And my mods all of a sudden started atting me in chat. I was like, what's going on? And they were like, Jelly, you've missed it. You've missed it. I was like, missed what? And they said a Twitch staff member is in your chat right now. So I scroll back up and I see this little icon next to this person's name. And they'd written out this poem of sorts. And it said something along the lines of, "This is not a lie. This is not a trick. Go check your emails quick," or something like that. So I go to my emails and lo and behold, there is an email from Twitch telling me that I'd just been partnered. And I cried, and it was a mess, and I was blue, and then I was white, and it was just a whole ordeal. But I was so happy, and it honestly goes down as one of the proudest moments of my whole entire life. But alas, the journey was not done, as I still had a big decision on my hands. On one hand, I'd got my amazing cabin crew job that I'd worked so hard to get that was finally being offered back to me. And on the other, I had the potential chance to become a full-time Twitch streamer, but it was going to be super uncertain how reliable that would be. Because for all I knew, Twitch streaming could only last 6 months, or it could last 5 years. Or 10, or 15, or 50, and I'll be streaming when I'm a granny. But I just didn't know. And obviously watching this video now with a massive Twitch partner logo on my shirt, it could seem like it was an easy decision at the time, but I can tell you it was bloody not. I spent a lot of time speaking to my friends outside the stream, my mods, my boyfriend, my parents, and it still remains one of the toughest decisions I ever made, because I felt like I could have potentially thrown away my dream job if Twitch ended up not working out. But I'm a crazy Aries, and I like to live my life dangerously, and I am a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and you miss every shot that you don't take. And that's really cringy, I know, don't laugh at me, but it's true. So obviously I picked Twitch. And with that, my official full-time streaming career had begun. I was so scared, I had no idea what was gonna happen, but all I remember is every single day I woke up for like 6 months. I would wake up with the biggest smile on my face and I'd be like, I'm a full-time streamer. And I guess looking back, that's how I knew I'd made the right decision. I feel I would have spent my whole life wondering what if I'd have chosen to be a streamer, what could have been. And again, this is cringe, but it truly was the best decision I have ever made. The opportunities have been endless. The friends I've made have been some of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my whole entire life. I've been able to travel and not been the one looking after the passengers. And honestly, there's not that many people that can say that they've been a Twitch streamer for a living. That is the story of how I became a full-time Twitch streamer / content creator. I hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments below what you think I should do next. Also, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Make sure you're updated every single time I post. I love you all very, very, very much, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.